I'm scoring her there where I gotta take that rosewood off, and I figured I would do that because I can't seem to get marks that want to do what I wanted them to do, if that makes any sense. I installed 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, and I got out the old calipers there, which I need to turn off, and I measured how far it was from here to my line, from here to my line, and I figured out the offset. So then that offset, was different here to here, and so I screwed this one in a little bit farther than this one, and then I used that same offset, measured the same distance apart, so these are 9.5 inches apart, and then use that offset here, so it's 71 thousandths per 9.5 inches, whatever the hell that means. And so then what I'll have to do is measure this offset from the head to that line, and that's how far I will put my fence away from my cutting head there. So this will be a high sphincter factor cut, and I am not going to do it tonight. The next piece is I have to be able to ride this face on the face over at the router table, and this fretboard is curved, so I have to put an extra piece on here for reference to get something flat. So this surface is flat, and the nut, where the nut is on the other end of the neck, is totally flat, which is all fair and well, but both surfaces are too far apart to ride on the table at the same time. So I'm having to do a little sled contraption here. Now this is totally probably out of bounds. Most guys who build guitars or do woodwork are probably laughing their ass off at me for having not thought this one completely through. So I'm attaching this block here, and then on top of that I'm attaching a big long board here, and let's zoom way out, and that long board will go, whoops, sorry guys, trying to do this upside down, it always screws me up. So then at the nut end, this is just going to have to sit on here. I don't have nothing to screw into. On this other end down here, yeah, I know, sorry, shaky cam, shaky cam, shaky cam. This screw is going into where the pickup will be, so this will never be seen. On this end down here, I got nothing, man. I got nothing to screw into. So that's just going to have to sit down there. So I'm going to attach this big sled guy here, and then I'll attach this to there, and we'll just kind of pinch it all together maybe. There we go, like that. And hope to God it works. There's how the screws ride along the fence. There's 3 of them, and you can see where at some point here, right there's my router bit. So there's where it is in proximity. So I have more on this end than I do on that end, and you can see there it is. So you can see kind of both of them at the same time. The fretboard starts up here, about where my fingers are. So the last screw is right on there, which is great. We got all 3 of them on. We're going in a straight line, and then we start moving, and that one's going to fly off the end of the earth, and my fretboard goes to this piece here. So I'll be flying with just those 2 till I get to there, and it's all going to work out. The router way just wasn't going to work. I couldn't get a router bit tall enough that would fit in my 1/4 inch shank router. I need a 1/2 inch. I couldn't get it tall enough over here. So back to the table saw, which is the same thing. I mean, this is basically just a parallel, these screws are here to make a parallel to the fence. So I set my fence up a 32nd of an inch too far this way, so that I have, I can approach the line just in case these aren't perfect. I can barely see it with the naked eye. I'm trying to get you in focus there, guys. Just the pencil line is left. Can you see where it starts here? Yeah, there's my dirty fingernail. And it's just there. And try and get more light on it here. You can just see fractions of that line. And part of me says, Greg, leave it alone. Let it be. Just sand to it. Leave that edge there. And I mean, right there, I can just barely see it. Just barely. So, and maybe I can. There we go. You can just. I mean, my fingernail's wider, thicker than what I have left. This one here, and that's all the thicker the neck is total. That's the total thickness of the neck. So I'm going to raise the blade to that level and go ahead and cut that. So now my fretboard and my neck will be friends, happy, perfect, and then I can just sand it to its final dimension. I need to keep part of this out here, so let's just say right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the blade somewhere in here, and then I'm just going to raise it, and I'm all upside down, but I'll start the blade here and then I'll raise it, and it'll just cut through this, and then I'll have to come back with a handsaw and kind of cut that in. I've got a start and a stop mark here, so I don't know how else to do this, but I'm going to have to just hold her up. I guess I could just lower it down, but I don't want to go too far. Damn it. Yep, I'm just going to have to hold her up and start it and then let it rip. Here we go. Hopefully I don't kill something. I avoided going too crazy here and just kind of, you know, I measured out 1 inch from the nut, and that's where I wanted that to make contact, because that's going to be straight, so it'll be straight for 1 inch, and then it'll curve out, you know, like guitar heads do. And yeah, so the groove kind of stops there, and I'll just have to, you know, this will all get filed away or cut away or done something with. So that side worked out just, I don't know. There's days when I'm proud of myself, and you know, little things I do. This is one of them. It's just, I don't know, it's not that big of a deal, but this is some scary crap, you know, to be cutting on the neck when it's this far along. So anyway, I got to do the second side. I'm going to take it just the exact same way. You can see that I left a 32nd of an inch. So I'm going to bump that in. That's a little too far away. That's more than the width of the pencil. So I'll run this in just a tick. And but the good news is we're parallel. You know, the line is even all the way down. So I don't know if you can read that, but I am half of a 32nd over, which is exactly what I wanted. Just a little bit to shave. You know, a little bit of sanding left to do here. And then down here at the 24th. I want it to be 2 inches, and I apologize again. Hang on, I got to line this up. I want it to be 2 inches, and I am half of a 32nd or 1/64th under down here. So I'm just a slight bit thin, which is okay. It's going to be just fine. So somebody had asked me about the curvature. In fact, I know who it was. It was John Carey. Asked me if the sanding, sorry guys, if the sanding had affected the crowning. So there's my 12 down here. It's, from what I can see, it's pretty well dead on the money, and you have to remember that I did make these by hand, but it's pretty damn close right there. And then on the other end, here's my 20, and you'll see it fits dead on the money. So the sanding was a very, very small thing, you know. Barely took any off, but the compound radius stayed intact, and I kept feeling it the whole time to make sure that it was just super smooth. And in fact, you can see my reflection in the fretboard there. That's pretty sweet. It is like, this thing's like rock hard and super duper smooth. So I don't think I've ever had a fretboard that felt like this. It might be actually a little too slick, I don't know. But anyhow, I got to get busy cutting these things off, and then we get to shape the neck. We'll just start sort of up at this end, and this tape is to tell me where to stop, and I'm just going to make a series of cuts. Starting to get a little more hand size now. That looks pretty freaking sweet. So yeah, I wanted the sides to come out nice and smooth till the point where there's going to be no more side, which worked. So the roughness is all, you know, sort of just stuff that's going to get cut off. The 17th fret is where I think the body is going to contact the neck. So I just wanted to protect that because I think that's where the body's going to come in. I don't know yet. I got to draw that out. I probably should have done that before I did all of this, but you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Last operation of the night. I have a mark here for where I'm going to start, and a mark here for where I'm going to stop, and then I marked my blade when I have it all the way out of where the limits of the blade are. I got the blade all the way down, so I'm going to put this where I want to start, and it's that line there. Come on, Greg, don't screw this one up, please. It's that mark there, and then this is my other mark. That's my mark. So really, I don't have that much travel, maybe 3-4 inches. So what I'm going to do is start it, bring the blade up through the work, and then travel the piece through. So here we go. Sometimes you gotta celebrate the little victories. Finally getting the neck to the proper shape and all the heavy work out of the way in terms of shaping this thing. That was it. That was a big milestone tonight. So I'm extremely happy. I figured I'd put the fret wire back on there. So you can see the dots are going to kind of be trapped a little bit, and then a couple of these guys up here are going to be trapped underneath the fret wire, which is just fine. I knew that was going to happen, and I'm totally cool with that. I think it's actually kind of neat that that they are. But anywho, that is it for the guitar for tonight. I am like super stoked. So I'll cut it off there. You guys take it easy. And don't let your move out.